The film begins at the annual United Nations Global Warming Conference in New Delhi, where Jack Hall, a renowned paleoclimatologist, is delivering a presentation. He warns the attendees about an impending catastrophic event that could freeze the entire planet. When pressed about the timeline, Jack suggests it may take centuries, but emphasizes that if fossil fuel consumption is not controlled, their descendants will face dire consequences of their actions. Elsewhere, after the conference, Jack engages in a discussion with Terry Rapson, a representative from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. As they converse, a heavy, unexpected snowfall indicates the onset of dramatic climate change. In the following weeks, we witness unusual and extreme weather phenomena occur globally. In Japan, deadly hailstones of unprecedented size rain down, causing numerous fatalities. Meanwhile, Terry's monitoring station in Scotland detects rapid, unexplained temperature drops in parts of the ocean, with communication signals freezing instantly. From the International Space Station, astronauts observe the formation of massive, ominous storms in Earth's troposphere. The scene shifts to Washington, D.C., where Jack is seeing off his son Sam, a gifted student, at the airport. Sam is heading to New York for a decathlon competition. Despite Jack's renowned career, Sam harbors resentment towards his father due to his constant absence. Jack, however, promises to spend more time with his family after retirement. Upon arriving in New York, Sam and his closest friends, Laura and Brian, witness a large flock of birds frantically flying westward, seemingly fleeing from an unseen threat. Meanwhile, Terry contacts Jack from his station, alerting him to the rapidly approaching catastrophic event. When Jack asks if it's severe, Terry confirms that such a phenomenon hasn't occurred in the past 10,000 years. At a weather monitoring center in California, a technician receives a distress call about hailstorms ravaging Los Angeles. Shocked, he turns on the TV to see golf ball-sized hailstones causing widespread destruction. He immediately alerts his boss to issue a tornado warning, but it's too late. Massive, devastating tornadoes soon engulf the city. This prompts an emergency meeting at the Office of Global Change in Washington, D.C. One participant points out the destructive weather events worldwide, suggesting something is amiss. Jack, present at the meeting, explains that the rapid melting of polar ice due to global warming has disrupted the North Atlantic currents, leading to the catastrophic weather. He warns that this is just the beginning, and the weather will continue to worsen. Jack tries to convince the vice president of the critical situation, suggesting mass evacuations in the northern states due to the impending polar blast. However, the vice president dismisses his concerns. Meanwhile, in the UK, heavy snowfall prompts the dispatch of 3 helicopters to retrieve the Queen from the royal palace. En route, they encounter the storm's eye, causing their instruments to freeze instantly. The helicopters crash, and a surviving pilot freezes to death upon opening the door. Back in Manhattan, Sam and his friends struggle to return to DC, but the relentless rain has disrupted all transportation. Driven by their desperation to leave the city, they navigate the streets, only to be confronted with total urban chaos. Suddenly, a colossal tsunami emerges and begins to wreak havoc, consuming even the towering skyscrapers and the Statue of Liberty. Recognizing the imminent threat, Sam and his group sprint to the National Library Hall for refuge, while countless others are swept away and perish. As for Terry, he reaches out to Jack to inform him about the freezing air over Europe that has grounded the helicopters. This news alarms Jack, and after further investigation, he learns that the storm is advancing towards the US at an accelerated pace. In fact, they have only 48 hours before everything is encased in ice. Jack then checks the weather forecast, which reveals the development of 3 massive weather systems in various parts of the globe, expanding daily, with the polar state already setting in over Europe. Meanwhile, Sam frantically searches for a functioning telephone in the library, as there is no cell phone signal. He finally locates a nearly submerged phone and manages to call his father, Jack. Overjoyed, Jack instructs Sam to stay indoors and wait for the storm to pass, as venturing outside would lead to instant freezing. The following day, as the library's occupants gather supplies, they are stunned to see a cargo ship sailing through the now frozen area. In Washington, D.C., Jack is assigned to brief the state head and his team about the situation. He bluntly states that the worst is yet to come and proposes the immediate evacuation of the southern states to Mexico. Once again, the vice president rejects the idea, questioning what will happen to the northern residents. Jack responds that it's too late for them, as stepping outside will mean certain death. Surprisingly, the president heeds Jack's advice and orders the National Guard to evacuate the remaining population to the south. In New York, the people inside the library observe a group of people walking on the frozen ground, deducing they are heading to the warmer states. Consequently, they also decide to venture outside before the snow deepens. Sam, aware of the impending danger, tries to warn everyone, but his pleas are ignored. Soon, everyone leaves the library except for Sam's group and a few others. Meanwhile, Jack, accompanied by his colleagues Frank and Jason, embarks on a journey to New York to rescue his son. As the trio has extensive experience in Arctic research, they are familiar with the treacherous weather conditions they will face. Back at the library, Sam and his group scour the entire building for food and stumble upon some vending machines. They also collect some books to burn in the fireplace. Elsewhere, as Jack and his team are navigating through the thick snow, they unexpectedly encounter a roadblock and are compelled to continue their journey on foot. They walk for several hours with unwavering determination, but unfortunately, when they reach the top of a fragile building, Frank breaks the glass and falls in. He is caught by the lifeline and his two friends are holding him up, but then the glass starts cracking. Therefore, with no other option, he cuts his lifeline and sacrifices himself so that his friends can carry on with their mission. In the library, Laura suddenly falls ill with a fever and loses consciousness. Concerned, the group starts investigating the cause and discovers that she has a wound on her leg, which might have led to blood poisoning. One of the women in the group, who happens to be a medic, states that Laura urgently needs a shot of penicillin, or else her leg will have to be amputated. Determined to save his friend, Sam decides to venture into the nearby cargo ship, hoping to find some medicine. As he is about to leave, Brian and another guy, JD, also decide to join him. In the next scene, the VP, who is now stationed at a military base, learns that the president was involved in an accident and died during evacuation. To make matters worse, the researchers also discover that the eye of the storm has changed its course towards New York City. Elsewhere, Jack and Jason are slowly progressing towards their destination, but sadly, Jason collapses from exhaustion. As a result, Jack is forced to carry his friend. At the library, the trio finally sets out and makes their way to the cargo ship. However, en route, their scent is picked up by a pack of hungry wolves who have escaped from the nearby zoo. Sam, Brian, and JD enter the cargo ship's kitchen and find some penicillin. They then search the place for more supplies, but suddenly they are attacked by the pack of wolves. Sam and Brian manage to escape to another room, but JD is severely bitten. Nevertheless, they manage to save him from the ravenous beasts. As the three brainstorm different escape strategies, Sam looks outside and sees the skies clearing. He then realizes that the eye of the storm is nearing them and that they are running out of time. Therefore, he puts himself in danger and goes outside to distract the wolves away from the kitchen. He then runs through the deserted ship, narrowly escaping the wolves. After a while, he reunites with his friends, but by this time, JD is unable to stand. Therefore, Sam and Brian bring a sledge and drag their friend back to the library. Meanwhile, as Jack drags Jason through the thick snow, he spots the approaching eye racing towards them. Without wasting a moment, he frantically searches the snow for any signs of shelter. Luckily, he discovers an open vent and quickly tosses Jason inside before following suit. As soon as the door closes, the freezing cold engulfs the area, turning everything it touches into ice. The boys manage to reach the library just in the nick of time, narrowly escaping death. They scramble to keep the fire burning, knowing it is their only defense against the brutal cold. Jack desperately attempts to ignite a fire and succeeds using an open stove. After some time, Jason awakens to find the entire place encased in ice. With the eye of the storm gone, Jack decides to resume their mission. Jason tries to reason with him, emphasizing the lingering danger outside, but Jack insists that time is running out. That night, they seek refuge in a tent and contemplate the future of humanity. Jack mentions humanity's resilience in surviving previous ice ages, but acknowledges the possibility of extinction if they are not cautious enough. Finally, after enduring weeks of catastrophic weather conditions, the International Space Station spots signs of improvement. They observe the storm dissipating in Europe, catching sight of landmass for the first time in weeks. Simultaneously, Jack emerges from the tent to find clear skies and the sun shining. As they continue their journey, they stumble upon the frozen Statue of Liberty and sunken ships buried in ice, finally reaching Manhattan after enduring days of excruciating pain and suffering. However, their hope dwindles when they discover the library, aided by a GPS, completely engulfed in ice. With their dreams shattered, they prepare to depart when they notice a small opening in the snow. Without hesitation, Jack enters the library through the opening, with Jason close behind. They begin their search for Sam and eventually locate him. Sam and his group have managed to survive due to the presence of the fire. The father-son duo reunites after weeks of separation amidst the terrifying weather conditions. The scene transitions to Mexico, where the newly elected president receives news of survivors in New York. Thrilled by the discovery, he announces a major rescue operation on live television to retrieve stranded individuals in the northern states. In the final scene of the movie, helicopters arrive in Manhattan, where numerous survivors have gathered on rooftops, anxiously awaiting rescue. Jack and his group are among those rescued and are finally transported to the south. The movie concludes with an astronaut from the International Space Station gazing at the Earth, remarking on the clarity of the sky, a symbol of hope for the future.